Of all the major film studios, Walt Disney Pictures might have the strongest and longest established brand. Putting aside subsidiaries like Marvel and Lucasfilms, Disney films are strongly associated in the public consciousness with family themes, colorful visuals, and uplifting plots. The number of widely celebrated classics they have produced is also impressive, stretching all the way from 1930s Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs to 2016's Moana. There have always been missteps along the way. People love to talk about the worst of things, and bad Disney films are a common subject. Particularly on the internet, not every film deserves its bad reputation, and it's often worthwhile. If you have the means and the interest to check out a film and judge for yourself. So join Black Mamba, and here are then a selection of Disney movies you probably have not bothered to watch but probably should. First one, Mars Needs Moms. Based on a children's book by cartoonist Berkeley Breathed, Mars Needs Moms is a sci-fi story that gets surprisingly dark. The whole thing hinges on a boy from Earth racing to save his mother from being killed by the Martians, who want to extract her memories and her momness for use in their robot nannies. An adult character reveals that the same thing to his mom, and he fails to save her mom from their lethal process. Even for kids who have been Bambi and Finding Nemo, these movies' focus on maternal death will probably be too much. For older fans who are looking for a classic sci-fi adventure with some innovative new touches, Mars Needs Mom is worth a watch. The Gemix style of motion capture based animation actually works much better with the Martians' characters, since their faces are meant to look inhuman. Whether you end up liking the film or not, it's an attempt to do something different from anything Gemix or Disney had done in animation before, and that alone may make it worthwhile. Second, the Winnie the Pooh. When Disney released a new theatrical Winnie the Pooh in 2011, it was easy to dismiss it as a recycled cash grab. After all, there had already been 3 Pooh movies since 2000, the Tiger movie, Piglet's Big Movie, and Pooh's Heffalump movie, none of which were very impressive. What a lot of people didn't realize, however, is that those films were made by Disney Toon Studios, the division of Disney that specializes in direct-to-video sequels and movies based on TV shows. The new Winnie the Pooh, on the other hand, had the full weight of Walt Disney Animation Studios behind it, and was a real attempt to do something worthwhile with these classic Disney characters. On top of that, it's currently the final Walt Disney film to feature traditional hand-drawn animation, and it's gorgeous from beginning to end. Any fan of animation or of Winnie the Pooh should absolutely watch it. Third one, John Carter. Maybe the title of this movie was Disney's biggest mistake. It was meant to be John Carter of Mars. But after the failure of the aforementioned Mars Needs Moms, Disney apparently decided to the words Mars was a bad look. Unfortunately, that left anyone who was not already a fan of Edgar Rice Burroughs' books with little clues as to what the movie was about. John Carter isn't even a particularly interesting name for an Earthman, let alone for a warlord of Mars. The movie did much better overseas than in the United States, but was nevertheless regarded as a flop. For those who actually watch the movie for what it is, however, it is a lot of fun. Based on Burroughs' first John Carter book, A Princess of Mars, it is the story of the titular human who finds himself teleported to the Red Planet, where several distinct races of Martians are locked in a complicated state of war. Carter aligns himself with the 4-armed Green Martians, finds romance with Red Martian Princess Deja Thoris, and ultimately faces off against the manipulative White Martians. There are monsters, huge action set pieces, cities that solar through the air, and basically all the things you could want from an old-fashioned sci-fi epic. In the center of it, all is Tyler Kitts as Carter, although the reception of this movie most likely kept him from becoming a big-time action star. Watching it should prove that he has the skills for the job. Meet the Robinsons. Meet the Robinsons came out in 2007, shortly after Pixar's John Lasseter took over Disney Animation, and that led to a lot of scrutiny for this film, which was reportedly changed extensively on Lasseter's orders that may have cast a pall over the movie at the time, and in the years since it seems to have been largely forgotten. If you actually sit down and watch it though, it's a clever and zippy family sci-fi romp with heart, and its retro-futuristic aesthetic is a ton of fun. The story focuses on Louis, a young science prodigy who lives in an orphanage. He meets a boy named Wilbur Robinson who comes from the future. Naturally, Louis ends up in the future as well, and they had to save the day from a time-traveling buddy with world-conquering ambitions and a surprisingly dangerous hat. Not to mention a secret connection to Wilbur's past, the way the time travel story comes full circle at the end is one of the most satisfying things about it. So we won't spoil that here. Ultimately, as the title implies, Meet the Robinson is a movie about family. That may not seem new for Disney, but this one successful sci-fi trapping make it stand out. Sky High did well at the box office in 2005. But it did not get much attention outside of its tween-age demographic. It came out when the current superhero boom was barely in its infancy. 2005 was the same year as Batman Begins and the Jessica Alba Michael Chiklis Fantastic Four movie. 3 years before the Marvel Cinematic Universe got underway, superheroic tropes that are now common knowledge for the movie-going public seemed at the time more like ideas that were probably left over from The Incredibles. Regardless of its context, Sky High is actually a really fun family comedy. Its basic plot works just as a superhero story, but it has the added Disney dimension of focusing on a kid who must gain confidence and learn how to tell which friends he can trust. Will Stronghold is the son of a great superhero, but he has not manifested any superpowers yet, which puts him on the bottom of the social rankings at Sky High, where all the kids of superheroes and villains go. As he attempts to navigate all that, he also has a secret supervillain plot to uncover, which will ultimately lead to the realization of his own heroic abilities. Kurt Russell fits perfectly as the commander. Will's superhero dad and former TV Wonder Woman Linda Carter plays the school principal, which is a nice touch. If you love superhero stories or if you are just looking for something fun for the entire family, Sky High is a solid pick. Treasure Planet. Disney substantially changes everything they adapt, but usually they do it under the surface, so that you only realize how different things are if you are familiar with the original book or story. Treasure Planet owed its difference on its proverbial slave, taking Robert Louis Stevenson's pirate adventure novel Treasure Island and setting it in a steampunk version of outer space. Writer Rob Edwards explained that this was an attempt to make the story as exciting for children in 2002 as the book was for children when it was published. That gambit didn't pay off, however, and Treasure Planet was a box office bomb. It's a shame because there's a lot of the movie that comes directly from Stevenson, and even the stuff that's entirely new works really as well. Rollicking, propulsive adventure story with some themes about found family, they hold up well. The complex surrogate father-son relationship that develops between protagonist Jack Hawkins and cyborg pirate villain John Silver is a lot more interesting than the usual Disney hero or villain dynamics. On top of that, the movie is visually spectacular, combining traditional animated figures with CGI backgrounds, even as it combines the aesthetic of tall sailing ships with its sci-fi setting. It may not be Disney's usual fare, but it's a genuinely good animated movie. Atlantis: The Lost Empire. Released the year before Treasure Planet, Atlantis is another science fiction adventure film that just didn't do what people expect animated Disney movie to do, and suffered for it at the box office. Sadly, that means Princess Kid of Atlantis never really got to join the Disney princess, where she would have made a unique and interesting addition. The movie focuses on Milo Thatch, a young researcher who finds the way to get the legendary Undersea Kingdom even as everyone around mocks him for believing Atlantis is real. With funding from an eccentric millionaire, Milo joins a diverse team of explorers on a mission to Atlantis, where he finds romance with Kira even as betrayal seems inevitable thanks to surface world greed. Production designer Mike Mignola, better known as the creator of Hellboy, gives the film a unique look that's unlike both past Disney films and previous portrayals of Atlantis. The voice cast, led by Michael J. Fox as Milo and Chris Summer as Kida, is also particularly strong. The plot gets convoluted at points, but it's still a really fun watch despite its reputation. And lastly, the Tarzan. All anybody remembers about Tarzan is that Phil Collins won multiple awards for a really sappy song he wrote for it, which was not 1/10 as good as the song Elton John and Tim Rice contributed to The Lion King. The song is not very good, and honestly most of the music is not that memorable, but everything else about the movie works quite well. In fact, it was a critical and box office success at the time, although you'd never known it from how it's remembered today. Disney's Tarzan retells the classic Edgar Rice Burroughs story about a man who is raised by apes and then encounters humans as an adult. Its romance with Jane Porter, here voiced delightfully by Minnie Driver, is a highlight of the film. There are of course some comic relief animal sidekicks which some may find annoying, but it all holds together pretty well. For a film set in Africa, there's a noticeable lack of black characters among the relatively few humans. On the other hand, that's better than how black people are portrayed in a lot of previous Tarzan adaptations. All of which is to say it has its flaws, but no more so than a great many beloved Disney classics.